welcome back to my channel. I know a lot of you follow me for content related to graduate school, so I wanted to make another one of those videos for you. As somebody who managed to get into an Ivy League with not such a good GPA, I don't even remember the exact specifics, but I was under a 3.3. I feel like it's my responsibility to share some tips and ways to increase your chances of getting into graduate school or an Ivy League if you want, if your academic GPA might not be the strongest. So first tip, and I don't know if everybody knows about this, but when you're applying, they have a specific section where they ask you to explain anything that they might not learn about you from your personal statement. And I think that is a really great place to explain why you might have not done that best for a semester or two, or if there was any specific classes that your grade didn't reflect your learning and your effort. For example, if you had a really tough semester because of mental health reasons, if there was like family stuff going on, if you were working, I know for me, I was always going to school while working, and that always affected my grades because I wasn't getting to go to office hours and put the same effort as my peers were who didn't have to pay for their own tuition. So first tip is make sure you explain any reasons why your grade or your GPA is not as high as they're hoping or expecting. Number two, make sure you use a good resume template. I have a lot of students reach out to me, and I'm always here to look over resumes, and it's shocking how many times people's templates kind of work against them. It's really important to have a template that allows you to summarize everything you've done in a way that's easy to read and understand. When there's too much going on, as a viewer, you get overwhelmed, so instead of looking at everything, you end up looking at nothing. So make sure you have a really good resume template. As I also discussed in the last video, something that I did when I was applying with my resume is Columbia really valued research experience, and I hadn't held any research roles, but research has been a part of everything I had done for my classes or for work. So I created like its own research section and listed out some of the research projects I'd done that way. So tailor it to whatever you're looking for, whatever your program wants, but make sure that your resume template is one that is aesthetically appealing but also talks about everything and touches on everything they're looking for. If you need a resume template, reach out to me. I always send the one that I have to students that need help. Number three, take the GRE or GMAT or whatever standardized test they're asking for multiple times if you have to. I took the GRE twice personally, and I did way better the second time, and I'm so happy I took it twice. So make sure you do that. If you need any fee waivers, most of those tests have that as an option. It just means you have to reach out to them. So plan a little bit ahead of time so you don't get stuck having to pay for it just because they haven't gone back to you with the fee waiver yet. But don't be afraid to take it multiple times if you don't do as well as you wanted the first time that you take it. Number four, reach out to current students. I can't stress this enough. I know for my school, we have students that volunteer to answer questions for students. I do that sometimes, but even if you don't do it like formally through the school or university, you could always reach out through LinkedIn. That's something that I did, and one of the girls that I reached out to actually went on to be my TA, and she was incredible, and her answering my questions played such a huge role in how I tailored my personal statement, and a big reason why I picked the degree that I did. So make sure you're reaching out to students on LinkedIn. The way that I did it was I looked up MHA candidate at Columbia University. You could do that with any degree, with any school, and you would be surprised at how many people genuinely want to help and are there to answer your questions. I'm always super candid when people ask me questions. I want to know what it's like to go to grad school, what it's like to go to Columbia. Everybody might not be the same way, which is why I recommend reaching out to multiple people. I also really recommend reaching out to students that you identify with. For example, if you're a student of color, reach out to a student of color and learn about their experience. If you're an international student, try reaching out to international students, because those experiences have their own nuances and it's hard for somebody that doesn't identify with those experiences to speak on that. So make sure that you're reaching out. I mean, reach out to everybody, but definitely talk to people that share some of your background and your core identities. Similarly, next step, reach out to faculty. I think getting to know faculty is something that I wish I had done, because first of all, it's really great if you build those relationships before they become your professor, especially if they're ever looking for research assistants, which you could then apply to. Also, I know for some schools, faculty actually sit on the admission committee, so having them on your side will definitely increase your chances. Next tip, get really personal in your personal statement. It's really hard to have somebody learn about you and who you are within 500 words or whatever their maximum lengths are. But it's really important that through that personal statement, the reader understands why you're choosing that program, why you're choosing that school, and why you're wanting to start now. So make sure you touch on that, and the more personable you make it, the more memorable you will be. And make sure that you do your research on the school and you don't just send the same thing to everybody, because that shows. Those admission committee members read hundreds and thousands of personal statements, so they know which ones have been used generically and which ones were really customized to that school specifically. I only applied to 2 schools when I was thinking about grad school, and Columbia was always my dream school, and I think that passion, that excitement, and my reasoning came across. So I think anytime you're passionate about anything, the reader will always be able to notice that and be attracted to that. So make sure you get personal in your personal statements. And I know those could be really hard to write. I always had a really hard time to write. I felt like it involved being really vulnerable, which I struggled with, but I've never gotten rejected from any schools that I applied to, undergrad or graduate school, and I think a big reason is that I got really vulnerable in my personal statements. So I recommend doing that, and have people look over it, have people proofread it. My grammar sucks, so I am so appreciative of my friends that were willing to do that. So make sure you have old professors, old managers, your family members, whoever is willing to look over it, take them up on that. Second to last tip, try to get as much leadership and work experience as you can. I know some people go to grad school right after undergrad, and it's doable. I know a lot of people from my program did that, but then while you're undergrad, make sure you're involved in student activities and clubs and you're getting those leadership roles. I know Columbia really value leadership experience, and I think that's probably something that most schools look out for. So get involved, volunteer long term. Don't just volunteer for something one time and include it in your resume. I think that looks really bad. Do things for a prolonged period of time, and don't do it just because you want to look like a strong candidate. Do it because you actually care about what you're doing and what you're getting involved with, because otherwise you'll be miserable. But something that I did that probably helped me stand out was like starting my own initiatives. So everybody loves a student or person with that go-getter startup mentality. So if you are not seeing anything that interests you, start your own and be a leader in that regard, because trust me, starting anything yourself teaches you so much more than you would if you were taking over a role that already had all the steps laid out in front of you. So get involved and gain as much leadership experience as you can. Also do internships if you can. I hate the fact that unpaid internships exist, but they do. And an alternative is, let's say you're a marketing student but you've never had any marketing roles. Reach out to organizations, small businesses, small mom and pop shops, restaurants near you, and just offer to create some mock-ups for free. They will love it. They could use it. You could put it in your portfolio. Like, create those opportunities for yourself. Don't wait for somebody to hand them to you. I think that's what I'm really hoping to stress. And last but not least, build relationships. Build a relationship with your professors, build a relationship with your managers, build relationships with anybody that will be willing to write you a letter of recommendation, because you do not want that person to write you something generic. That person should talk about you as if you're their favorite student they've ever had, if you're their best intern they've ever had. Really put in that work to make sure that relationship is built and they know you, so they'll be willing to speak on your experiences when asked. Something I always tell my sisters to do is, let's say you have a chemistry professor, you do well in that class, but that was freshman year, and now you're applying senior year. Maintain those relationships. Like, let's say sophomore year, send that professor an email, say, hey, I read this article, just wanted to share it with you in case you find it interesting. Or just go to office hours and check in and see how they're doing. Like, professors and your managers are people at the end of the day. Like, they're normal humans having a normal life experience, and everybody wants to feel seen and heard and cared for. And professors, especially right now, are going through a lot, having to make everything virtual and readjust their whole curriculum. So trust me, everybody would value just being checked up on. So do that and see how they're doing. See if they want to get coffee if you guys are in person, or a virtual coffee hangout on Zoom, like whatever works. Just make sure you're maintaining those relationships, so even if you haven't had that class for years, they still remember you, you're still top of mind, and they can still speak on your experiences. And I know Columbia specifically really valued letters of recommendations from professors specifically, and I really struggled with that because I never went to office hours. I never built those relationships. So learn from my mistakes, because luckily I had really amazing managers that were able to speak for me. But I think professors and faculty will definitely strengthen your overall case. For all the steps for me, if you have any questions, please comment them below. I always love seeing you guys' comments and getting to answer them. If you need help with your resume, or if you want me to share you my template, please reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way to do it. Reach out to me on LinkedIn and I am happy to share. I'm always here for you all, and I have no doubt that you are going to get into whatever school you dream. We're going to manifest it. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be everything you've ever wanted. And please let me know if there's any other grad school content that you want to see from me, because I'm happy to make these videos for you. That is all from me, and I hope to see you again next time. Bye.